Ladies and gentlemen, seekers of light and secret knowledge wherever you may be, you are listening to Points of Light Radio, the podcast dedicated to taking you past the apron and behind the closed doors of lodges everywhere. And here is your host, Stan Miller.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. How are you finding the journey so far here on Points of Light Radio? On a personal level, I've learned a lot going through and interviewing these different guests I've had here. I actually feel like I'm making some friends along the way. But in this particular segment of Points of Light Radio, I'll be attempting to shed some light on the Fraternal Order of Eagles. I've been trying to get in touch with the folks from this organization for a long time. Now, the Fraternal Order of Eagles is a non-political and non-sectarian international fraternal order founded in Seattle, Washington on February 6 of 1898 by 6 theater owners. Most early members were actors, stagehands, and playwrights, and they carried the Eagles story as they toured across the U.S. and Canada. The Eagles were made up mostly of those involved in the performing arts, but they evolved over time. One of their accomplishments was the establishment of Mother's Day in the United States. Isn't that interesting? I always wondered where that came from. The Eagles meet in lodges that are known as Aeries. Now, the Eagles have had some very prominent members of society in the ranks. Among those are U.S. Presidents Theodore Roosevelt, Warren G. Harding, Franklin D. Roosevelt and his wife, Harry S. Truman and his wife, John F. Kennedy, James Earl or Jimmy Carter, and Ronald Reagan. Now, we know that, I keep saying this, we know that Warren G. Harding, and both Presidents Roosevelt and President Truman were Masons. Why do we not remember that they were also in the Fraternal Order of Eagles? I don't understand that. But there were also many other politicians and entertainment figures, as well as sports figures in the ranks of the Eagles, and still are. I'm not going to go into all that right now. But I've only encapsulated the Fraternal Order of Eagles history here. I'm frankly, I will say this, a little bit amazed at the history of this organization. And perhaps my guest here can shed a little more light than I have here. And his name is Leonard Mathe. Mr. Mathe is a member of the Fraternal Order of Eagles, Aerie number 34 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Let's go let him shed some light here on the Fraternal Order of Eagles. So if you're still hungry for the light and you're still thirsty for knowledge, just trim your lamp and follow me. Mr. Mathe, welcome to Points of Light Radio.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Now, you are a member of the Fraternal Order of Eagles.
Correct.
And I believe it's Minneapolis. How about you tell my listeners and viewers about yourself?
Well, let's see. I come from a long line of computer consulting jobs over the years, and came here about 6 years ago. I have Parkinson's, so I started a dance, Argentine tango dance class for people with Parkinson's and seniors with balance issues. And the place was nice enough to give me the room for free to be able to do that. And I thought I owed him something in return, so I decided to take on a role as a trustee and ended up as the chairman of the board of trustees here.
And what exactly the area you belong to is what, I believe, number 34, Minneapolis?
That's correct. It's been around since 1899.
Wow.
One of the oldest Eagles clubs in the United States.
Wow.
They're numbered consecutively, so they obviously were
How
the
long have you
34th
been a
one.
member?
About 5 years.
Well, okay. So, and tell us about the Fraternal Order of Eagles. Exactly. What do they do?
The mission of the Eagles is, well, their statement is people helping people. Their mission is charity. So as a consequence, places like ours, and this is true of Elks, Moose, VFW's, Legions, all of them really are charitable organizations. They're formed as lodges, which are 501c8s and 10s within the United States. That's a form of nonprofit. And so all of the money that we make as a charitable organization beyond our, that are considered profits, are donated to different charities throughout the United States and here locally. We also have a gambling operation which does pull tabs and electronic bingo and electronic tabs and a few other things, odds and ends, as they allow you to do within the state. And between the two operations, the gambling and the bar and restaurant, this year we'll probably donate somewhere around $500,000 to charity.
Sound very active.
It's a very active place. We have about 400, a little over 400 members right now. It's starting to grow back up. Most places like this, most lodges have had issues with getting new members. Primarily for a lot of years, they didn't really recruit because they had a lot of people. And as that age group ages and unfortunately passes away, not much was done to replenish the membership. And we've about 2 years ago, we put on a campaign to literally go out and find younger people to come in, because these places are all run by volunteers like myself, and they're just not there anymore. The ages, the young ages weren't there. There's a group there, probably between the 30 and 40-year-olds that we really missed.
Okay.
So we're starting to get to the younger ones now, and places like this, we have 3 rooms that are entertainment halls. So we have a lot of bands. We have bands, music 6 nights a week usually.
I saw that.
We have weddings, celebrations of life, birthday parties. We even have one coming up in June. I think it's June 4th, which is a motorcycle club. And they, excuse me, they raise money for charity to buy tools. They call it Tools for Teens. And they buy these toolkits and they teach kids how to use them and fix things. So they're going to be here with about 3,000-4,000 people in a big motorcycle show, and should be quite interesting.
Well, what are the qualifications, though, when you talked about membership? What are the qualifications for membership in the Fraternal Order of Eagles?
About the only one that really sticks out. You have to believe in a higher power.
Okay.
No particular definition there. Doesn't have to be a god or Allah or something. Just a higher power, the supreme being, so to speak. You cannot be a communist. Those are about the only things that you can't be. If you're a military veteran or a firefighter, police, or active military, your first year membership is free, and it costs a whole $30 to be a member.
Okay.
Very inexpensive. And here, at least in our club, we have a loyalty program that if you're a member, anytime you buy a drink, whether it's alcoholic or non-alcoholic, or buy any piece of food, you get 50 cents off. So if you come down here one time every week, you'll have gotten $26 back on your $30 investment.
Well, what do the Eagles have a degree system?
No.
Okay.
No, there's no degree system. Everybody's an equal member.
Okay. Do you allow women into the Aeries?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
That changed about 4 or 5 years ago. There's still an auxiliary that only women can belong to that, but women can belong to the area itself.
Okay. Now, what would you say the makeup of your Aerie is? Young, old, women? But
I would say in the area, right now, last time I looked, I believe the composition was age group wise, I think it was 40-some% were over 70, about 20% were in their 60s, and the rest were on down the line. Our age group is the lower end between the 20, let's say 20 and 35, has probably gotten up to about 10 or 15% now.
Okay, so you did mention this about the age groups. Going forward, what do you feel the Eagles need to do to stay relevant, shall we say, to the millennials and subsequent generations after that?
Well, one of the things that we've noticed is that millennials are much different in what they'll volunteer for. Older Eagles used to they volunteered because it was their club, they used to be private, okay? Now they're open to the public, and they have to, if you're open in Minnesota, if you're open for, say, live music or whatever, you have to be open all the time to the public. And so consequently, we're a public bar now. And these people who used to, it was their little private club, they had to do the work. There weren't that many employees. Now right now we've got 60 some employees here.
Wow.
So, we have to operate like a regular business. And as far as the members are concerned, and what we have to do for the younger ones, first of all, we have to stop acting like this is our club because we've been here longer, that kind of thing. That happens a lot in fraternal organizations. And really, we have to give them the opportunity to run the place. We need fresh ideas. We need young ideas. We need them to come in and come up with new ideas on how to get some volunteerism going. And again, as a place like this, because it does several $1 million in business a year, we have to run it like a business. We have to pay for what we get. We can't rely on volunteers to run the business while they're working somewhere else full time. So it has to change that way. Again, we have to offer them programs that that they're amenable to. It's and music, all the different things that go with getting them in here.
Is your Aerie equipped with high-speed internet access? Because I do know that a lot of things that the millennials, I know my kids do, is gone online, video games and things like that to draw them in.
As I said when you asked me how about myself, I have a master's degree in computer science, so you can count this place is well wired. It is wonderful. It is I think it's right now 100 megabit. It's going up to a gigabit shortly.
Wow, nice.
And it's got all the all the access points throughout the building, and the phones are all internet. We've got internet controlled digital signage. God, I can't remember all the other stuff.
But I also know that the younger generation too is given to those card games like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff like that. Perhaps that's another idea that would draw a lot of the men to have tournaments about that stuff and things like that. I mean, it is crazy, but I do notice with a lot of the different organizations, they're having trouble connecting up with that demographic. But
you're
it
right.
can be done. It can be done.
Sure. And we're looking for new things. We tried one for a short time called Sporkle, which is a trivia game where somebody comes in, and it's done online. You use your phone to put your answers in, and it blah, blah, that whole deal. And that one didn't go over too well. But we're starting to see the young kids come in here a lot on Fridays and Saturdays, and when we have some of the younger bands in here. And let's face it, Stan, we used to be the group that drank like crazy. They're the ones that do now, and that's where the business is,
Mm-hmm.
It's the reality. I mean, in reality, a place like this is still a bar, first and foremost, That's where the business is. We certainly saw it with the COVID. We were able to see what each chunk of our business gave us, whether it was gambling or because we had to come back in pieces. And it's a neighborhood bar first. It always has been. And that kept us right at break even for a while. As we added back the gambling and the bingo, that showed us what happened. Karaoke, and finally, getting the bands back. The karaoke is one that the kids love, the younger folks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they really, there's a few universities just up the road from us, and they'll ride their bikes down here and come in around 10:30 at night, sing till midnight, 12:30, works out great. But yeah, we'll look at all of those things, whether it's any of these games or whatever else. And, I think that's something that these young kids can add to the pie when they come in. And we've got a few. The person who's going to be the past president as of May, the end of May, and the new incoming president are probably in their late 20s, which is
good.
Good to see. Yeah, it's needed. It's definitely needed.
Well, what have the Eagles done for you?
Certainly kept me busy for the last 5
Good.
years.
Good.
It's been a challenge because, again, these things were run by volunteers, and let's face it, being elected to an office does not necessarily mean you're qualified to do the work. I just happened to come out of a long business career and have a bachelor's in business and a master's in computer science, so I was able to do a lot of things to get the business upgraded here.
What would you say to those thinking of joining? If you're a way to promote it, what would you say to those thinking of joining?
First of all, I would tell them, if you want a place that you can kind of call a home bar, so to speak, or a home place where you have entertainment, whatever, this would be the place to be. The other thing, it gives you an opportunity to drink for charity. When you're here, you're drinking for charity. I can't think of a better reason to do that. And it also gives you an opportunity to be part of an organization that gives to virtually any charitable organization that really requests it. We give to the high schools to support their band programs, their sports programs. We give to Second Harvest Heartland, which distributes food for food shelters. We donate to women's shelters, virtually Heart Fund, Parkinson's funds, the VA, the Veterans Administration, things of that sort. And it's a good place to meet. We have very little trouble. It's centrally located near downtown Minneapolis, without the troubles. And it's really a nice place. It's a warm place. It feels like a corner bar, even though we have all those rooms for entertainment. So it's a good place to spend time.
Well, Mr. Mathe, I know this came at short notice. I appreciate your time today. All the best to you and your Aerie there.
Thank you very much. And if you're ever in Minneapolis, please stop by. We'd love to have you.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. Leonard Mathe, brothers and sisters. What did you think of the Eagles? Now, I named those presidents who were part of the Fraternal Order of Eagles. Did you know that they were part of the Eagles? Most people don't. And I keep asking that. How come we don't know that aspect of United States history? You go on these different websites and they can name every president and almost every politician who was a Freemason, but they can't name presidents who were part of these very storied organizations. Now, I will also add that I did attempt to contact some Canadian Aeries, but they always told me they were going to get back to me and never did. But we're not done with the Eagles. But, I was just thinking, let's see, I've covered the Benevolent Protected Order of Elks. I've covered the Fraternal Order of Moose. I've covered the Royal Antediluvian Order of Buffaloes. And now we've covered the Eagles. So we've, let's just put it this way. We're working our way through the forest, over the mountains, and across the prairies here on Points of Light Radio. And I'm not done, like I said, covering these different organizations. I have reached out, just to let you know, reached out towards the sky and invited some of the Fraternal Order of Orioles on here. Still waiting to hear back from them, but we definitely will keep trying to contact them. Unfortunately, I am going to have to fly here myself. But before I go, I want to remind you that this podcast is available on both YouTube and Spreaker. Please share, like, and subscribe when viewing Points of Light Radio on YouTube. You can follow Points of Light Radio on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Points of Light Radio. My Twitter handle is @PO Light Radio. You can see the link to my Spotify channel, as well as my Points of Light store in the detail section of this segment. I also want to add that Points of Light Radio is available to advertise your fraternal store or event. But until we meet again, brothers and sisters, sorry to part, but happy to meet again. Until we meet again, just step into the light.